Hello, gorgeous, lovely Starseeds. It's Alexander Quinn, Starseed Navigating the Light, and what a year this is going to be. It's going to bring quite incredible transformation and change. And I've also got some breaking news from my Arcturian, something that I've not heard anywhere else, and I will give it to you towards the end. Let's just jump straight in. So the first thing I want to talk about is the 3 days of darkness. Yes, I had the same reaction when this came up. I spent about 3 hours channeling yesterday, both with my Arcturian and my Mantis. And when the 3 days of darkness came up from my Arcturian, Iawatan Shara, I said, not this old chestnut. I thought this was a myth. And then my Mantis comes in and says, not only is it a myth, but it's a twofold thing, and it's going to happen potentially this year. And I said, okay, talk to me. So my Mantis confirms, and then my Arcturian comes back in, and what he says is, Iawatan Shah, he says, it could be one of two things. The first thing is a KP event, similar to the Carrington event, where we get a KP9 plus event. And on some communication level or a tech level, half of the world could be influenced in terms of communication blackout or communications going down in terms of infrastructure. Now, it'll only be the side of the Earth that is facing the plasma that comes to it. So it'll not be a global 3 days of darkness, but it will affect mostly the side of the Earth that is facing the sun at the moment that plasma hits. And I said, wow, okay, so if that wasn't enough, what's the other side? What's the other pronged side of this 3 days of darkness? And then my Mantis comes in. And my Mantis says, Alexander, it's going to be a cyber attack of a very large proportioned scale. Something that we've never seen before. And I said, okay, Mantis being, where is it going to come from? I said it could come from Russia, but we are not sure at this moment in time. I said, okay, is this the good guys or is this the bad guys? And what my Mantis being said was, it is the good guys, but it's going to seem like the bad guys. And what the good guys are doing is initiating a shutdown of systems so that things can be reset and that there is something that can come out. And that is all that I could get at this moment in time. So 3 days of darkness at some point this year, either cyber attack or a Carrington-sized event with a massive CME that comes along with a KP9 plus. Now, before I get on to some of the other elements that are going to be coming through, there will be people, we started this year with a Mercury retrograde, and that's calming down. And soon we'll be going into Pluto going into Aquarius on the 22nd or towards the end of this month. And that's where things are really cosmically going to start getting jazzed up. And that's going to be a long event playing out for a very, very long time. So certain things you do this year, relationships, certain career things will stick for the long term with Pluto going into Aquarius. So things are going to start getting cosmically much more jazzed up around the 22nd or certainly the end of January when Pluto does that. Now, some of you will also be thinking, we're going into 2024, there's 2 wars going on, there's economical issues, and there's all sorts of stuff, it's a kind of little bit doom and gloom, but there's some good news, and I want to give you a cosmic answer to all of that, because this is really, really important, okay? So I'm speaking to your soul when I'm saying this, and this is the answer, this is why this is happening. I'm just going to read this out, okay? Everything born out of separation and duality consciousness must first be seen in order to be rejected, changed, and fully eliminated from the collective belief system. I'm going to just read that again, okay? There's a reason why we're going through some of the things that we're going through at this moment in time. It's a bit like a pain in your body that keeps on getting louder and louder and louder until you stop doing whatever it is that you're doing that is creating that pain within your light body, your emotional body, or your physical body, or whatever body is. But in terms of Gaia, it's us. And I just want to read that one more time before I move on to the next thing. Everything born out of separation consciousness must first be seen in order to be rejected, then changed, and finally eliminated from the collective belief system. It's coming up because it's density rising up within our systems, with the geopolitical systems, with our military, and it's stuff we haven't dealt with collectively. That's why it's in our face, the awfulness of it. And things will improve. Okay, next thing. Now, we are coming up to the end of a major solar cycle. Now, remember, we are not only children of the stars, but we are children of the sun. So, the end of a major solar cycle, culminating in what is going to be this year. And with that, the binary codes are going to be changing. The galactic codes that the sun, but not only Alcyon and the photonic ring are emitting and coming through, are going to be changing. And that's going to change the way we are working etherically. It's going to change our light bodies, and it's also going to be changing the way we're working, where we're living, what we're doing. It's going to change us from the inside out, then to the external. So there is a lot of endings happening at this moment in time, a lot of conclusionary things happening, a lot of change, a lot of finishes, a lot of death happening at this moment in time. And that is good. You have to have that because the phoenix rises from the flames. Celebrate it. This is good news. Yeah, this is going to be a good year. It's fantastic. It's good news. Feel good. That's what I want you to do. I want you to feel good about this, okay? Change is good. The light worker doesn't always like change. The old soul especially doesn't like change, having slogged through an eternity of sludgy energy. Well, it's going to be very, very... 2024 is going to be some of the fastest moving energy I've ever had in my lifetime, especially astrologically. But in terms of the sun activity, we're about to go into the peak now. So what people call ascension symptoms are going to be the biggest you've ever seen. And we're going to be a little bit edgy. We're going to be a little bit wired. And it's going to be really, really important to make sure that you're grounding down. Now, I personally take a valerian root for sleeping because it's going to create sleep issues. Some people like to take CBD, and also magnesium helps. Now, a lot of people always talk about taking magnesium when the energy is very, very high because it relaxes your nervous system, and it does. But let's get a little bit more specific. The best type of magnesium to take is in actual fact magnesium glycinate, not citrate or malate. It's glycinate, and this is because it's the best for reducing anxiety, stress, and regulating your blood sugar levels and your nervous system. So if you can get hold of that, be careful not to get these ones with all the bulking agents and everything, and try and get a clean one, but magnesium really helps. Also, Floradix do a really, really good magnesium. So things aren't going to start going bump in the night. You're going to have a lot more density coming out of your body. Aches, pains, feeling wired, feeling like you've got a coffee. And we're all going to be a little bit more edgy this year because we're going to be wired. Remember, there's more data points coming onto this planet at this moment in time than anywhere for about, let me ask right now, about the last 12,000 years. And with data points, that's light codes. So your body, we're having to go through a very, very intense rewiring this year, more than any other year. So out of all of the other years in our solar cycles, you're going to want to take just that little bit of extra care of your body. Make sure you're hydrated. And remember, when the proton flux is very, very high, it can have an effect on our immune system, and we have lower blood cell counts and things like that. And so we're more open into inflammation and infection and things like that. So anything you might be taking that could be immune suppressant or something that will suppress the immune system. Try if you can to lay off it, and also especially a lot of pharmaceuticals this year, because with the solar codes coming in, that they could be overloading your system. And there will be this tendency for some light workers to go up into the mind and feel like they're feeling a bit crazy. So it's going to be very intense, and we're going to see some of the biggest X flares we've ever seen, some of the biggest CMEs. And I asked my Arcturian, I said, what if it's like, so what if some of these people can't deal with this? What if their encoding, what if their DNA strands are not up to it? And my Arcturian came in and they said they have an enormous mothership that is actually hovering over Earth at this moment in time, somewhere over the Atlantic. It's about 20 miles across, and they are regulating or helping filter in some of these energies so that it's not overloading our bodies. So there is outside help, okay? There is outside help. Weather activity is going to be very extreme this year. The first thing that came in is my mantis being came in, and I was being shaken all over the place. I said, right, is this an earthquake? He said yes. Earthquakes are going to be quite prevalent this year. I said, can you give me any more information? Turkey. And Turkey is, and I said, wow, Turkey already just had a really big one, and they're going to have another one. And my mantis being just goes like this. It just nods. So, crikey. We're going to see a tsunami at some point as well. There's going to be a tsunami that's going to play out on this planet. I don't know where it's going to be. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be quite as big as the one that was on Boxing Day in 2003, but there is going to be another one. And weather events are going to be a lot bigger this year. There's also going to be a lot more flooding. So if you're not insured for flooding, get insured for flooding. And if you're thinking about moving out of an area that has a history of flooding and you're selling up, probably get it done sooner than later. Now, a lot of people say that this is because Gaia is ascending. Gaia is ascending, and that's why this is all happening. Now, technically, that's not actually true. Gaia ascended in 2012. We are playing catch up now. It's the humans on the earth. We are playing catch up now. She's already ascended, but it's this massive cosmic and sun activity that is going to change the weather systems, El Nino, and also our tectonic plates that's going to produce all this weather. It's not because of Gaia ascending. She is already ascended. Now, every year, I have been saying there will not be disclosure, and every year it offends a lot of people, it upsets a lot of people because they want it, but I don't say something if I don't truly have the confirmation that it's gonna happen, and I get my confirmation from the real deal, from the real people themselves. And never once have I made a predictions video where they said there is going to be disclosure. In fact, every year I have said that there is not going to be disclosure. But what I am going to say this year is what my Arcturian said. And what my Arcturian said is that there are going to be a lot more congressional hearings this year, specifically in America. There's going to be a lot more information coming forward about who the ET races are, and there will be more identification and who we're working with. And the ETs and certain councils are going to start giving us more signs that they're out there. Now, my Arcturian predicts that we could be having a lot more open contact potentially by 2027. Now, I thought it was going to be a lot further away than that. So that's quite exciting news. And again, I asked my mantis because obviously I'm sometimes up in my mind and I'm skeptical, and I asked my mantis, and my mantis just simply goes like this. And that's good enough for me. So we're going to be getting a lot more signs that they're out there. We're not going to get what people want as full disclosure because our consciousness is still not ready for that as a collective. I know a lot of the people who are watching this video, the listeners, you are, and I certainly am. But for the full collective consciousness of the planet, it would be too much. Because if it happened all in one go, we would suddenly become Earth citizens. I wouldn't be British, and you wouldn't be Swiss or American or German or Venezuelan, and countries, the borders of countries would begin to fail. So our consciousness would change so rapidly that it would actually cause more pandemonium than it would do consciousness vibratory raising, if you want to call it that. But we're not far away, so there's going to be a lot more coverage and a lot more breaking and a lot more signs coming from our neighbours up there that they are up there. And that's because we are starting to get closer to being ready than they are. Now, my mantis being loves the techie stuff, the computery type stuff. And when he comes in with a little baby mantis, funnily enough, and they said something very interesting that I wasn't expecting. And it's something along the lines of, watch out for the slow and introduction of trying to introduce AI into the body in broad daylight. There will be things for diabetes, things for blood, things for your convenience, your safety, that supposedly you can attach to your arm, link to an app, and it will tell you about your health. And what came through is that it will be a slow burn introduction, the beginning of trying to get things attached or connected to your body in order to slowly advance AI into the human. Now, my mantis said that this is twofold. There are some good applications, but there are also some bad applications. And to watch out for this, to be very, very careful, because it's going to this year begin to increase into, you can put something on your body and you can link it to an app and we'll be checking and and of course I said, but can this stuff be sold on? And they said, yes, it is sold on. It is sold on without you knowing. So someone somewhere knows what your blood is doing, what your sugar levels are doing outside of you, and there is some level of caution. So my higher self came forward for this bit of information, and I wish Dolores Cannon was still alive, because she would have loved to have heard this. Yesterday, when I was channeling for a lot of hours yesterday to bring forward whatever I could get for this video. And my higher self came forward so gracefully for this bit of information. And it's going to be a very, very special this year, because yes, there is going to be, last year was the start of the depopulation, decreasing. But actually what's going to also be happening is there is a very specialist set of souls that are going to be coming in this year. And my higher self explains it as the fourth wave. Now, I've not heard anyone else talk about this. I know Dolores Cannon talked about the 3 waves. And when I sat down, I had a long conversation with my higher self about this. And I said, okay, so there's a 4th wave now coming in. Officially, the 4th wave coming in. Yes. And I said, wow, okay, so why is there now a 4th wave? Why? And they said, because the first wave have done their job. But we can't go down to 2 waves of certain souls coming in, because we need to keep the equilibrium vibrationally. It's what the planet is used to. We need to keep it on a 3. So the first wave have done their job now. That is now concluded. That is now done. So there's now going to be a 4th wave coming in. And I said, tell me more about them. They said their auras are going to be, there's going to be a new color in there. It's a color we can't even see with our eyes because it's out of our light spectrum. In much the same way, it's going to be a quantum color. In much the same way when Nancy Ann Tapp in 1968, who was working with auras, said, oh my God, I can't believe it. I've been working with auras my whole life. And suddenly this new aura is coming in and it's called indigo. Hence, we have the indigos. Well, that's going to be coming in with the new wave, the 4th wave. That starts this year. And that's incredible, incredible news. And my skeptical mind came and I said, surely it's not, because it didn't come from Dolores Cannon. Or it's coming from my higher self. It's coming from me. I'm breaking this news, and I haven't heard it anywhere else yet. I went to my mantis, yes. I went to my Arcturian, yes. And I'm getting confirmation everywhere on this. So when you dip into their auric field, it will look like there's that rainbow agenda of colors orchestrated in their auric field. But the initial color, it'll almost seem like there's a blank space initially before the rainbow colors start. And it's something that is outside of our light spectrum. It's something we can't see, even in our third eye yet, because we don't have the strand DNA to see it. Some people will. Some people with 12-strand DNA will see it. But it's not a color we are used to integrating with. And that's going to be coming in a lot this year. Now, with that, are babies who are going to be born, who are going to be the next people who will invent the next huge big things. Now, I'm talking about people like who will invent the next thing, like the internet. or the electric motor, or things like that. Quantum inventors that will, and they'll be inventing things at a very young age, because they will be bringing these things forward akashically from the future. Now, our society is set to tip more in favor of what people generalize as 5D in 2027 onwards, because at this moment in time we are in 4D, but it's still a bit of a dog's dinner, because what we are doing is we are still superimposing bits of 3D onto 4D, and we are still superimposing bits of 5D onto 4D. But by 2027, we're going to be much closer to a collective consciousness within 5D. And because of that, these children that are coming in, who are going to be very famous inventors, inventing things quantumly as big as, say, the internet, will be able to, because of the vibration on this planet, bring forward what is akashically inside themselves from the future of Earth on an alternative timeline, to push these inventions through. That is how my Arcturian described it. Don't ask me how that works, but that's how my Arcturian described it yesterday. Okay, I've got a direct message from my Arcturian. So I'm going to have to read this from my screen in a minute. But remember, we are on an earth of duality. So, as the light goes up, I've been saying this for years and years and years, as the light goes up in duality, so does the dark to counteract it. So it will seemingly see that there is more, the illusion of chaos playing out. It will seemingly see that the illusion of chaos is playing out more this year than a lot of years, but it will be an illusion. There will be more distraction outside in the external to distract you from your inner growth and massive multidimensional expansion that'll be happening there, especially, I keep going back to Pluto and Aquarius, and there's another mega astrological event that I'm going to talk about just straight after this, that everyone will be talking about, all the astrologers, but I have to honorably talk about it in a minute. But there will be more external illusionary seemingly chaos playing out this year, and I want you to ignore it. Now will be the time more than ever to not watch the news. And this is exactly what my Arcturian said. I'm just going to read this out because this is big. This is really, really big, okay? Stop watching the news in 2024 more than any other year. When you are watching the news, you are sometimes passively integrating and allowing negative controlled data to enter your conscious mind and also your subconscious mind, so that you are passively co-creating from a subconscious place of negativity. And when that came through from my Arcturian, I thought, wow, that's amazing. And that is what the mainstream media does a lot. It puts us into a place of passive co-creation, where we are taking on all of this stuff subconsciously, and then we are subconsciously co-creating from a negative place and coming out of a multidimensionality. And that's why we have to stay in our heart, because our heart does not, we don't have the synapse of the brain in the heart where trauma, childhood issues and everything is held. Yes, we can hold it in the emotional body, but our highest multidimensional piece of ourselves is in the heart, not where fear is generated up here in the synapse of the brain because of what happened in our childhood trauma in adulthood and all the rest of it. And that's why we have to stay as conduits down here and not up here, and switch off the mainstream media this year more than ever. Now, I have to give an honorable mention to what is potentially one of the most exciting astrology events in a very, very long time. We're going to have a new moon eclipse in Aries on April 8th. It's going to be a super moon, total eclipse, bringing in fire, passion, and huge change, conjunct Chiron. And this is going to bring in a lot of potential for collective healing. Then immediately after that, we got the big event, April 20th, Jupiter and Uranus conjunct in Taurus. Last time this happened was in 1941, but we also had a similar one in 1968, where there were huge political and civil rights movements and protests happening all around the world. And I personally predict that a similar thing is going to happen. This is going to be shining a light on a lot of political unrest and bringing power back to the people and changing old systems. This is such a major astrology event happening. Then immediately after that, oh my God, full moon in Scorpio, April 24th, expected heightened emotions, intuitive change and major transformation. And Uranus brings huge unexpected awakenings spiritually and cosmically, plus revolution and rebellion. And what does Jupiter do? It just expands this many times. So I thought to myself, my God, is this going to be unresolved shadow coming up? Is this going to be shadow rebellion, or is it going to be light rebellion? Well, personally, I think it's going to be of the light. And that's because we also have Venus, which then joins in, conjoining both to Jupiter and Uranus, and activating some incredible once-in-a-lifetime opportunities and galactic awakenings. Wow. So on one hand, it's a real double-edged sword this year, because what we have going on is the illusion of seeming chaos mounting. But on the other hand, we have incredible light, cosmically, astrologically, energetically, expansion, the light worker. If you can stay in your heart, if you can keep your focus on your inner self, if you can watch the synchronicity playing out, stay on that road, could be one of the most exciting years ever. And I really mean that. This could be one of the most exciting years to ever play out that we have seen so far. Now, my Arcturian asked me to do a quick light language integration, because some of the codes are going to be so intense that your body won't know what to do with itself this year. And there's going to be some propensity to kind of feel like you're going out of the body. So I'm going to bring Iawatan Shah in now, just to give you some codes to help you integrate what is going to be probably the most intense year for about another 11 years. So I'm going to bring him in now, and all you have to do is just sit and listen, and then I'm going to wave you goodbye until I bring out my next video. So please come in now. Warakatrishin the Swaraka Russian Dashun the Warakatarishin the Shumkantashaka Ishin the Warrior Katarishin the Wandukashaka Swarakatarin the Shum the Warrior Katarishin the Shun the Swarakata Dashan the Korishi Shishing the Warrior Katarishin Dasha and Shakabum the Warrior Katarin the Shun the William the Warrior Katarishin the Shakanta and the Warrior Kata in the Umwa and the Shaka and the Ioraka. Doria Katarishin, those whatever in the whatever Katarishin, the sugar at the William Warrior Katisha, some cat sick and the Shaka and to in the Warrior Katasha and crash. Ooh, okay. Ooh, just love that when that happens. Okay, bit unexpected. I'll have words with you later on. Okay, okay. I'm back. It's taking me a moment to come back. Wow, that was intense for me. I'm coming back. Come back. Woo. Okay. Have a great year. I'm back from holiday. I'm back from everywhere. I've never been away. Wow, I'm still away somewhere. I'm just gonna say goodbye. I will see you soon. God bless, and speak very, very shortly. Okay, bye bye.